Missouri versus Nori, who is a local Yoshi player, still a very strong player,
I've
but
heard of
Yoshi.
Nori. I have heard of Nori. And then I was wondering how you're going to say that Apollo, how'd you say it? The last
ApolloKage, or you can
Kage.
call him AK.
AK,
Yeah.
ApolloKage. I like it. But Nori I have heard of, and I knew he was a Yoshi player as well. I think I've seen him at, I watched online a Combo Breaker a couple years ago. And then I watched this Yoshi play. That's when I started. Because I started with Kirby and then Yoshi. And so like you said, like you mentioned, study a player that plays it good. Try to find the best way to use a player, or I say a character in a fighting game. And he used Yoshi pretty well, so I was studying him up and found that. So I am aware of Nori right now, taking most of the damage right now. He's down a bit in damage to
ApolloKage, AK.
ApolloKage.
And this is expected too. ApolloKage is one of the best players in the world in general, bar none. Probably the best Snake player in the U.S., one of the best Snake players in the entire world, but he's one of the top-ranked people in the world. Former #1 player in Missouri, has a lot of titles to his name. Expected to win this for sure, but you're playing against Yoshi, a character that he maybe doesn't have a ton of matchup experience against.
Yeah, and Yoshi is, I'll say, an awkward player.
Awkward, so weird.
With the egg and what you can do with it, spin it. Your body, you can spin your body into the egg and go back and forth on the map. That could throw people off, but when you're playing against a top world player as ApolloKage, he understands that.
Yeah.
And like we saw with C8 a couple matches ago, the best of the best are going to know how to defend and attack against any player. It won't be no awkward moment for them because they know what they have. They've been at the highest level already. They played against the best, so they'll understand. He'll understand how to deal with Nori here.
Exactly right. And so Snake, the fun thing about Snake, obviously you're seeing all these grenades come out. He's got the missiles. He's dropped the C4 on the platform. You have to worry about that. He can blow that up whenever he wants to.
Right.
You're having to play around a ton of different explosives and weaving your way in with a character that's so awkward, that has such a weird movement, that doesn't have an upbeat that you can recover with. You have to be so much more careful. It's very difficult.
It's basically an obstacle course to go throw a punch.
Yeah.
What you described is like, man, I got to go through all that just to kick you?
Exactly.
I got to go through all that just to drop a punch on your left face? Good gracious. So that's a good job. It's an even better job by ApolloKage that makes him the best, because doing that, this is the thing about all the training, to practice those movements, to make them innate.
Yeah.
Where he doesn't even think about it. He just moves and drops a bomb and C4 here, boom, boom, boom. Just like in the other match with Majestic Souls. Same thing. They do that training. It comes down to making sure they're doing it all the time, because every time you watch VOD, if you don't study it right, you're gonna miss a step.
And with having to juggle so many of these options, the grenades, you can pick them up, drop them, then pick them up again, and they have a timer that you have to think about when are they going to explode, and then you have your C4, you've got to pay attention to where that's going to be. There's so much to watch that the player that plays the character, of course, is going to be the one that's more comfortable, more familiar, knows it.
Yes.
And so when you're the opponent, you have to know this matchup so well, or you're going to get eaten up.
100%. So the only thing that Nori has that Yoshi can dish out is his egg. He's dealing with bombs, C4, and then also a gun that Snake has that can shoot at you, or a rocket launcher that he can shoot at you anytime. So, but that's not a deterrent. You know, with good players, you're like, hey, that's what I got to deal with, and go into that. For any other player, the young player, you know, they might feel overwhelmed, but like, man, I got to go against all that.
Yeah.
And it's almost unfair. Like, hey, no, this is competition. This is what it is.
Yep.
So if a character that you're fighting against has 3 mechanics that no other character has in the game, hey, they pick that character, and now you got to fight and defend, and hopefully you get the win. And unfortunately, Nori didn't get the win here in the first round matchup, but he has one more to go.
Yep, he has another
so
shot.
That's a big deal right there.
He's got another shot. I imagine he's going to want to pick a different stage. Pokemon Stadium 2 is a very long stage that, of course, is going to favor a character like Snake that can set up all of his projectiles.
Correct.
So he's going to want to go to somewhere shorter, somewhere a little more compact, where he doesn't have to fight so hard to get on top of his opponent. And Hollow Bastion would be a good pick for that, but we're going to Small Battlefield instead. Still smaller than Pokemon Stadium 2, so he will have an easier time getting close to Snake, getting close to ApolloKage.
Correct. And then, you know, and then, again, in the selection of that too, that's also strategy. You know, we talked about it earlier, you know, with selecting the right map for your character or just your play style. You know, if it's your play style or even your character's play style, that it's got to adapt. You still got to adapt it to any other map, even when it's not your pick.
That's true. And there's two schools of thought for picking a stage. Are you going to pick a stage that you are comfortable on, something that is a comfort pick for you that you've played on a million times, or do you pick something that's good for your character? And that sometimes can be a difficult balance to strike. But against Snake, there's some pretty clear options, and this is probably the best thing that was available after the bans came out.
Yeah, because you got so many places you could drop the C4. Like the C4 just waiting on the platform for him.
You got to watch that.
So when Yoshi goes up there, he could pull it. He could hit the switch. But something I would tell my players as an esports coach is practice every map.
Yes.
There's no map you're not afraid of. Get that out of your head right now because that's a block from winning. When you think, oh man, I don't know that map, that's not play that map at all.
Right.
But what about the other team? They pick it. Then what you gonna do?
Exactly.
So play every map, knowing the ins and outs, and not make it a deterrent. Because that's gonna heed you progressing in your game as well as the player.
Yeah.
And
you never know when that's gonna come
as a competitor.
You never know when that could come in handy as well for you as an offensive option, right? Like if your opponent doesn't know the map, well, guess what? You practiced it. So
exactly.
It's very, very important.
And then you go into that game feeling a little bit more comfortable. You're like, even if he does know it, but you know it as well. And then you're a little bit, you're not even worried about the map. Now you're just focusing on your fundamentals of attacking, countering, and playing Smash like you should.
Going really deep for that one. Does even up the stocks. Nori trying to stay alive, 115%. This is looking better than game one was, but
sure did.
When you're playing against Snake, Snake can pull the grenade while he's getting hit and trade the damage and get himself out of a combo. So if you're playing down a stock or down percentage from Snake, guess what happens whenever you get hit by a grenade? Yes, you both take damage, but it's harder for you because you're behind.
Correct.
You need to get ahead without taking damage, and that's so hard to do against this character.
Yeah, exactly. So right now, Nori had learned a little bit from the first match, and that's why this match is going a little bit better for him, but now we're back to the point where he's up. But I'll say one thing about Yoshi, he can take a lot of lot of damage before you finish beating him. He was over 211 before he finally got the next stock over there from Nori.
A deceptively heavy dinosaur right there, but
correct.
Snake also a very heavy person. He's got all that armor on him, all of the projectiles that weigh him down.
Yeah, all those utilities.
You've got a lot of percentage you've got to rack up before you can take a stock off of him too.
Exactly. And just like my first time playing against a well-trained Yoshi player, that egg was out everywhere, all the time. So it just shows you, for all you young Smash Brother players out there, when you're playing with the character, use all the mechanics.
Yes.
Use everything about them, because then that is one more thing. Even though it's one more thing you got to learn, that's one more thing your opponent has to learn too. And if they haven't played against a Yoshi or a Snake a whole lot, then they're going to have to learn real fast to get a win.
Exactly. Nori was able to even up the stock there with a nice edge guard, but the C4, you got to pay attention to where that was.
I think that was a grenade, because I thought, unless it was two grenades, can he throw two grenades back to back?
Yes, you can throw two grenades back to back, but he had his C4 on the platform, and you heard the...
Oh, I missed the C4.
Yeah, but this is the part about listening, because if you heard the... That's the C4 that he clicks it, and then you have to pay attention to that beep, beep, and then it's gone. This is the beep, beep for the missile.
Exactly.
Sound is very important for Snake specifically.
You know what? And that's what we talked about earlier. You know the movements, you know the sound, the cues. Those are cues.
Yes.
To let you know when a certain attack is coming your way. And some fighter games do have that with their characters. When they hit a combo, there's either a head nod or a shoulder go one way, or even sound effects like we hear in Smash Brothers.
Oh, Nori's about to bring this back, though. 202% is so high, but you have gotten ApolloKage to the point where you might be able to take a stock, especially if he's off stage. He's playing patient. Both of them playing very patient. Couldn't quite find the grab on that one right there. Shielding up close. This is so dangerous. And he's able to get the down B, but doesn't take the stock. How deep are you willing to go? Too deep is a problem, and it's traded right back. ApolloKage finally finds the closeout.
Yeah, ApolloKage sitting there with the one-piece Luffy had on. He was able to get that last punch in there at the end. And I think we both know being in the air was the weakness for Yoshi at that moment.
At that moment.
Yeah, when you're in the air and you have the lower ground, you got the advantage. And Snake had the lower ground advantage over Nori and Yoshi, so he was able to punch up with an up attack, get the hit, and get the victory right there. But another great match. Two solid players, great players right there in ApolloKage and Nori, who I've seen before prior to this match. But good job by them so far. Good tournament here in CEO in Orlando, Florida. Got another good friend, and Kevin with the K here.